Well, it's been an interesting week in my resale business. I had an unexpected thrift haul that I didn't even mean to go on the shopping trip that ended up being super unique, very interesting, and maybe the most profitable shopping trip that I've ever been on. We'll see how that works out. I got some new equipment to use in my business. I'm excited about that. And most of all, I'm excited to share last week's sales with you. Today, we'll be going over the sales in my resale business from the week of May 19th through May 25th. Also, what do y'all think of my patriotic kimono top here? I sold this today, so this will be in next week's What Sold video, but before I send it to its new home, I thought I just needed to wear it once. If you're new here, I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. I am Jenny Shaneyfelt. I'm an online clothing reseller. What I do, what my business looks like is I go to thrift stores, I find inexpensive but high quality clothes, and I list them on eBay and Poshmark to flip them for a profit. Every single week I come on here and share with you what's sold. I think it's super duper helpful to see what's selling in other people's businesses to help you be a better sourcer, to help you know what brands to look for, what styles to look for, what materials to look for that are selling in real time on the same platforms that you are selling on. For each item, I will share with you what I paid for it and what my profit ended up being. And at the end of the video, I'll break down the weekly profits and show you how all that works out. All right, let's get into this first one. Oh, before I do, I wanted to not wait until the end to ask you your question today. I always tell you guys, I've been doing this for a little over a year, so I started April of 2024. I need to do a whole video to share how and why I got started reselling because it's a fun story. We'll do that another day. But April 2024, I listed my very first item. I didn't really think I was going to be a reseller at that time, but I am just all in now. So your question today is, how long have you been a reseller? Or maybe you're not yet. Maybe you just love watching this content, or maybe you're thinking about getting started. But that's what I'd love to know from you today. So me, April, May, a year and a month. That's how long I've been doing it. All right, first in my sales, we have this Title IX woman's large dress, teal built-in bra, sleeveless, crisscross back, stretch. Here's your Title IX tag. I feel like a lot of thrift stores don't know about this brand and they don't normally mark it up, but it's a good one to look for. I had it listed for 110 days. I bought it for $3. I listed it for $35. The buyer sent me an offer of $25, which I accepted, and that gave me a profit of $17.73. Okay, next, Life is Good. I have a couple of these Life is Good shirts. I'm not really sure how I feel about them, but they're just always so cute. So if I can get them at a good price, I always want to experiment with them. This one didn't sell for very much, but it was fun to sell. I titled it Life is Good Crusher Tee. That was the name on the right there on the tag, Crusher Tee. Women's extra large, pink, unconditional love, dog shirt, puppy, vet. Y'all know I love my dog, so this one just spoke to me. So this one was listed for 103 days. I bought it for 72 cents at a bag sale. I listed it for 15. I sent someone an offer for 10 and they accepted. That gave me a profit of $6.33. All right, next, my mom had given me these when she decided she didn't want to resell clothes anymore. They were a little used, you could tell on the bottom, and the top was kind of bent in, but when I looked at comps, I was pretty excited to sell them. These are Birkenstocks, men's 46, which is a size 13, Arizona EVA sandals, rubber black slide buckle. Hey, let me ask you guys a question. So I always make sure that I put a picture up the sole of the shoe. But I sold some the other day, not these, but they clearly showed the bottom of the shoe. But when she got it, in her review, she gave me a good review, but in the review it said, wear on the soles that was not disclosed in the description. And she was right. I didn't write about it in the description, but I did have it in the picture. Do you guys always try to put, even though you got the picture, do you put in the description as well or in the condition? I don't know, I've started doing that since then because if people expect it, I want to meet their expectations. Just wondered if that was a thing people normally do. Okay, so I had no money into them. I listed them for $25 because of the wear. Someone sent me an offer of $15. I accepted. That gave me a profit of $12.51, and that was only in 7 days. Next. So this one was definitely a style-based purchase for me. I love anything I can stick the word cottagecore in, so I picked this one up at a bag sale for just 72 cents. I titled it Women's Small White Lace Tank Top Racerback Cottagecore Romantic Halter Bride. Here's this brand tag. Never seen it before or since. The brand is Free Kisses, not necessarily one I would commit to memory. It was listed for 104 days. I paid 72 cents for it. I listed it for $19. The buyer sent me an offer of $15. I accepted, and that gave me a profit of $11.93. Next, Free Fly. Do y'all know this brand? This is the first time I found it, but I knew about it because of watching reseller content just like this, and I knew it was a good one to pick up. So I titled it Free Fly Bamboo Casual Flex Dress Beachy Stretch Seafoam Blue Sleeveless Tank. It was only listed for 4 days. I got lots of offers right off the bat, but they were lower than I wanted to accept. I paid $2.15 for it. I listed it for $33. The buyer sent me an offer for $29. When I accepted that, that gave me a profit of $21.05. I was super happy about that one. Free Fly. Okay, y'all saw me wearing this one in last week's What Sold video, just like I got this one on. It had sold the day I was recording, and I just thought this was so cute. When I saw it, I actually thought, oh, I've got to get this for Chase. Chase is my fiance. He is obsessed with, let me go get him, I'll show you. He is obsessed with these. He has a couple a day. Our freezer is fully stocked with them. This is Luigi's Italian Ice though, not Rita's. And when I first saw this beanie, I thought, oh, I've got to get that for Chase as a joke. And then after I carried it around in my buggy, I was like, it's not Rita's that he eats, it's Luigi's. I got it anyways. I thought it was unique and cute, and I was like, I'll just list it. And I'm gonna eat this while I go over this. My favorite flavor is the lemon. It takes a minute for them to melt enough to eat them, so I'm gonna set that aside. But anyways, that's the story of this beanie. That's why it caught my eye. But if you see something like this, run the comps because it sold pretty good. I titled it Rita's Italian Ice Custard Brain Freeze Beanie Hat Pom-Pom Toboggan Adult Unisex. And I just want to make the point that this sold in the middle of May. Nobody's wearing beanies in the middle of May, are they? I don't know. But I was super excited about that. It was listed for 41 days. I paid $2.99 for it. I listed it for $23, and the buyer sent me a $20 offer. I thought that was awesome. That gave me a profit of $13.98, and stuff like this is just so easy to photograph. I thought that was a win. Okay, next I have this Catherine's. I love me some Catherine's. Almost every plus size section in any thrift store that I go to, I'm gonna find a Catherine's piece or two. And if it's in good condition and if the style is not just atrocious, I'm probably gonna pick it up. Catherine sells quickly in my business. I titled it Catherine's Women's 1X 1820W Top 3/4 Sleeves Peasant Blouse Tunic Navy Blue Pink. It was listed for 111 days, right after I just told you it sells quick. It usually sells quicker than that, and I'm still going to continue to pick it up. 111 days is not that bad though, but it usually sells faster. I paid $1.49 for it at the Goodwill bins, and I listed it for $32. Maybe that's why it took so long to sell, because it's a little bit higher than I normally list Catherine's. But the buyer sent me an offer for $27. And I was excited about that. I accepted it, gave me a profit of $21.63. Next, this was my biggest sale of the week, and I was very surprised when I ran the comps for these in the thrift store of what they were selling for. So let's go through this. It's called I don't know what it's called, L'Artiste. L'Artiste. I'm sure it's French or something, but I don't know how to say it. But there's the brand, first word in the title. Spring Step Desi Shoe, 9.5 black leather flats. Slip-on flower new. These were brand new. There was no tag, but absolutely zero signs of wear. So it did have where the thrift store marked the price on the bottom of the dang shoe. So I just scribbled over it with Sharpie. I tried to erase it with a pencil, but it wouldn't come all the way off. That's usually what I do. If it certain types of soles, you can just take a pencil eraser after it and it'll come off. Because this had the crevices in it, it would not come off, so I just did it like that. Here's the marking on the inside. Okay, these were listed for 186 days. I paid $4 for these. I listed them at $99. I didn't have a ton of offers on these. I didn't have a ton of interest on these in that 186 days. I just felt like because of the style and because of the price, it was gonna have to take a special buyer to come along and want it. But I never did lower the price on these. The buyer sent me an offer for $60 and I was super excited to accept that. And that gave me a profit of $44. Let me see if I can get some of this out of here. Is it soft enough yet? Come on, Luigi's. Oh, yeah. Good stuff. All right, next. Vintage Old Navy Pearl Snap Button Shirt, women's extra large, Western red, floral, 3/4 sleeve. There's your vintage Old Navy tag. Now, it didn't sell for much, but it did sell fast. It was listed for 6 days. I bought it for $3.15. I listed it for $25. The buyer sent me an offer of $19.50 and I accepted that. That gave me a profit of $13.43. Not a ton of money, but a fast flip. Next. All right, do y'all know right off the bat when you see this what character this is? I bet you do. Well, this was my favorite movie growing up. I probably could have recited every single line of it. So when I saw it on the rack, I knew exactly who this was supposed to be. Ursula from The Little Mermaid. She's got the little shell around her neck that has Ariel's voice in it. I didn't know if it was a good brand, but it is. If you see a Taylor Joelle piece, look it up. I titled it Taylor Joelle Ursula T-shirt costume, women's size extra large 2XL, villain Little Mermaid. Here's that Taylor Joelle tag one more time. If you see it, run the comps. Okay, this one was only listed for 4 days. I paid $2.15. I listed it for $25. I sent someone an offer for $20. They accepted. That gave me a profit of $14.75. Next, I've had this one forever. It was one of the first items that I ever bought on a purposeful thrift store trip. And it was a bad purchase. Don't buy this. So I had it forever. I titled it Yogalicious. It's the only Yogalicious piece I've ever bought. Small purple tank top with back cut out, soft, stretchy activewear. So I bought it for 50 cents and it was listed for 341 days. I listed it for $16. I thought that was a good price, but it never sold. So when the buyer sent me an offer for $6, I did some quick calculating to see if that was a little bit of a profit, and it was, so I accepted it, and that gave me a profit of $4.12. Okay, next. This one I picked up at a bag sale. It was listed for a while, 284 days. I titled it Eddie Bauer Women's Medium Open Front Cardigan, Lightweight, Soft Gray Neutral. I bought it for 55 cents. I listed it for $16. The buyer sent me an offer of $11. I accepted. That gave me a profit of $8.51. Next, we have this Honey Me Curvy Women's Extra Large Blouse Top. Colorful, short sleeve, V-neck, stretchy. Here's your Honey Me tag. I don't pick things up just because they're Honey Me, but I have found some cute pieces in that brand. It was listed for 123 days. I paid $3.15. I listed it for $22. The buyer offered $19. I accepted. That gave me a profit of $12.87. Next, this was another one that I threw in the bag because I was done shopping and it was a bag sale, and I was like, let me scan these racks one more time to see if there's anything else I want to throw in this bag, because at this point it's basically free. I'm paying $10 for the bag anyways. Let's see if there's anything else I want to take the time to list. So this got thrown in there. Vintage gold sequin top, women's large, mob wife, glamour, 70s, Y2K, club, date, cami, rave. Here's your tag. The brand is Simply Style. And I paid 48 cents for it. It was listed for 38 days. I listed it for 25. The buyer offered me 14. I accepted. That gave me a profit of $10.57. Okay, next. This item is from the interesting thrift haul that I had this week that I was going to tell you guys about. So I think this is a great time to share that story. I'll show you the item first. How adorable is she? Do I have any more children of the 80s on here? Strawberry shortcake. I don't sell stuff like this, but I do love it when I find something. It's like a break from the monotony, if you can call it that. I love reselling clothes, and I wouldn't even really call it monotonous at this point. I've only been doing it a year, but I do love when I can break it up and learn about other areas, and I always have fun when I do. And I'll probably do more of it in the future. I spend all of my time in the thrift store in the clothing section because that's what I know, and by the time it's time to go, I'm not even done with the clothes yet. But anyway, so I was taking some packages to the post office this weekend. And on my way to the post office, there is this closed down, or I thought closed down, thrift store. It looks really run down, but every time I drive by, I can just tell that inside, there's lots of glass windows, and you can tell that it is so piled up with so much stuff. And with that much stuff, you're bound to find some great stuff. And so I always think to myself, man, I wish I knew who owned that. I would totally ask them if I could look through there and just pick out stuff and give them some good money for it, because it's just sitting there. I never see it open. So on the way back from dropping my packages off, I noticed that not only were the doors open, but they were having like an outside yard sale, like they had tables set up. And I just looked on the stuff outside the tables, and I said, I don't think I found anything on the tables. And I said, can I go in and look around? They said, sure. And I couldn't quite understand what they were saying about the place. He owned it, or he sold it to the guy maybe owned it and then was renting it out, and the guy maybe got behind on his rent. So like he took it back and took all the stuff inside of it. I don't think that's the exact right details of this story, but something to that effect. So I was right. What I thought from the road was that it was just piled and piled and piled up. And he was like, we're trying to get rid of all of this. Pick out what you want. We'll give you a good price. I got several things from inside. I got an old sewing basket, and it had all of her sewing stuff still in there. And in that sewing basket was this adorable strawberry shortcake patch. So we'll get to that in a second. But the thing that I think it might end up being my most profitable thrift trip ever is because in the corner of the store, they didn't have very many clothes at all. But in the corner of the store, they had a rack that had formals on it, and then another rack that had just a little bit of like regular clothes. It wasn't much at all. But I went over there and I was flipping through it. I don't know anything about formal wear, but I saw Jessica McClintock for gunny sacks on one of them. So and it was in a garment bag. So I knew it had been protected. I opened it up real quick and looked at it, and it wasn't like the boho looking style, but I knew it was something special. So I went outside where they were and I said, how much for these clothes? And he said, I'll do $50 for one dress, but I'd really rather you take them all. So if you want to do $50, you can take them all. And I was like, I don't know that I want all of those formal dresses that I know nothing about, but let me think about it. I didn't say it like that, but I was like, let me think about it. I'll let you know. And I said, so just one's gonna be $50? He said, yep, $50 for one or $50 for all. They were really trying to clean that place out. And so the more I looked around, the more I thought about it. I thought, why not? Why not? I think I can make my money back. I know I can make my money back off that one dress. And then when I get home, I'll look through the rest of them. And if they're stained or whatever, I can just throw them away. I went to pay. It was $7 for the stuff I had gotten inside, $50 for the clothes. And I had $48, and they only took cash. So I ran down the road to the ATM. I came back and they had piled all of those dresses outside. And I was like, Oh my gosh, I don't even know if these are gonna fit into my car. A Ford Explorer, I opened like the hatchback trunk thing and I said, just pile them in there. So the entire, I'll show you a picture, the entire back was full and the back seat. So I got home, Chase and Lincoln, we're outside playing basketball and I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. I opened that hatch back up and Chase goes, geez. And Lincoln said, what in the world? Because there was just like taffeta and chiffon and this wedding dress was in there. So pageant dresses all just spilling out of the thing and I don't know what I'm going to do with them all. But I do think it's going to end up being a really profitable thrift haul. So then when I got home and I was looking through them, I hung them all up underneath our carport because I was like, what am I going to do with all these? To look through them, make sure they don't have bugs and rats and all that in them, and see if I even want to keep them. So I hung them up under our carport and there was 52 dresses there. I paid $50 for 52 formal dresses. And I also, a lot of the dresses, if you just hang them on a hanger, they'll just be like a floppy mess and you won't be able to tell much about them. So I ordered this body model dress form, I don't know what you call these things, and I've loved it. I've so loved it. So if you want one, I'll make sure that I put the link to the one that I got in the comments. But I just think it's gonna take my business, just this little purchase right here, I think is gonna take my business to another level because my clothes are gonna look so much better in my photographs. And I won't use it for every single thing. I'll still use the hanger probably for the majority of them, but you know what I'm talking about when you have that thing that on the hanger you just can't even tell anything about it. I've already gotten a couple of the formal dresses listed and they look really, really good. I ended up keeping, there were 52, I think I ended up keeping about 42. So my price per dress was like just over $1. Craziness. I'm excited about it. All right, let's talk about this cute little patch. So I knew that this was not going to sell for much, but I had to take 2 quick pictures. It was a really quick listing. It was fun. It was cute. I was like, I'm just going to add this to the total and see how much I can make off of that thrift trip. So I listed it and it sold within 24 hours. Woohoo! Yay! So I'm saying that I had zero money into it because I bought the basket and it was in the basket. So all the stuff that was in the basket, I'm saying is $0. I listed it for $9.99. The buyer offered $4. I countered $5. They accepted. That gave me a profit of $3.44. All right, next. 100% linen knit tank top Talbots women 1X V-neck luxury navy blue sleeveless. There's your Talbots tag. I find several Talbots pieces almost every time I go shopping. I like to pick it up. I paid $2.94 for it. It took 56 days to sell. I listed it for $22. I went back and forth with the buyer for a while, but I ended up selling it for $18. That gave me a profit of $11.75. Next, this was one of the very first things that I listed and I never did get around to photographing it, not on the back of my door, but it did sell finally 432 days later. 432 days for this adorable denim tie-dye jacket. I think it was the photos, honestly. If you're photographing your stuff on the back of the door and you make the change to putting it on a plain wall and you see a huge difference, let me know, because I really think that's what took this one so long. I titled it Y2K tie-dye denim jacket, women's medium, bright, colorful, hippie, spring, peach love. My sister gave me this one, so I had no money into it. I listed it for $25. I was running my weekend sale and the buyer snatched it up for 15% off, so they paid $17, that ain't right. 20% off would be $20. I don't know why I got that. Anyways, they bought it for $17.03. That gave me a profit of $13.80, but I actually made $33.80 off this jacket because today I was folding it up. I was about to lay it down and wrap it up in the paper that I use, and something feels a little crinkly. This was in the pocket. Love that. I probably need to give it to my sister because it was her jacket. Okay, the last sale of the week, new with tags, Love Rich women's large Somerset dress, white long cottagecore eyelet sundress, new. Had a lot of questions about this. I thought it was adorable. I had a lot of offers when I first listed it. They didn't want to give me enough money, so I held on. And it finally sold. It was listed for 141 days. I paid $3.50 at a regular Goodwill. It was on sale. I listed it for $49. The buyer offered $35. I accepted. That gave me a profit of $26.59. Before we get into the breakdown of the profits, I wanted to ask you to please hit that like button. There is something about that button where if you hit it, it tells YouTube that people like my stuff and it'll recommend it to more people, and it helps the channel grow, helps me to be able to continue to provide free content. And if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can hit the bell icon, and that makes sure that when I release a new video, you are notified. And if there's anyone you can think of that might want to add reselling to their life as an extra stream of income, you can hit the share button and send it directly on over to them. Let's talk profits. This week I sold 18 items, 4 were on Poshmark, 14 were on eBay. The gross sales plus shipping that my customers paid was $480.46 for this week. The fees that I paid to Poshmark, including just the regular platform fees as well as the promoted listing fees. I did have 2 sell-off promoted listing. One I paid an extra 46 cents for, one I paid an extra 50 cents for, so not bad. But the fees that I paid were $75.23. The cost that I paid to ship these items was $104.75, and then I had to take out the amount that I initially paid for all these items. So for these 18 items, I paid a total of $31.49. It was a low cost of goods week. Love it. So that brings my profit for the week of May 19th through May 25th to $268.99. Not bad. Loving it. Chugging right along, growing my listings every day. I'm up to like 540 active listings in my store right now that haven't sold. Hope you guys are having an awesome week, and I'll see you next time.